Hi, Susan D here, Tech Ninja, and I'm going to answer a question I get a lot as a website developer for over 20 years. Let's go. So the question I hear a lot is, what's in a domain name? What does it mean? What do I do with it? So a domain name it's your www. It is unique. There's only one in the world, so you want to register it so that somebody else doesn't claim it. Tip, make it short and non-cryptic. You don't want to use hard to understand abbreviations like the number 4 instead of the word 4. Sometimes it's appropriate, but sometimes that can be confusing as well. Also, you don't want to make it too long because people don't want to type in www, something that goes on forever.com. Another tip, .com is preferable, but also you can register .biz, .yoga. There's a lot of different ones. So find one that is meaningful for you, especially if it means you can keep your domain name short and non-cryptic. Does not have to be your business name, and you can have more than one. So, for example, getyournetingear.com is actually a tagline of mine. My business is Acceleration Services, but requires some spelling, so that's why I don't have that. Also, search engines will reference it. So if you can have keywords in your domain name, that will help you get found when people type in a certain keyword. A domain name registrar is where you register your domain name. Good examples are GoDaddy.com, Register.com. There's a lot of them out there. What I would recommend is you find somebody that can provide you support, because some of the things you may get into are a little bit technical. That's why I personally like GoDaddy, because they have a 24/7 phone number you can call, and they've been responsive in my 20 plus years of building websites. Generally, you can register for 1 or more years. I recommend that you register for more than 1 year. One of the reasons is that search engines often rank on this. They want to make sure that you're going to be in business for a while. So if you have a 1-year registration, that can come into question. So it's always better to do it for more than 1 year if you can. Also, you want to be sure to set up auto renewal so you don't lose it. I have a lot of clients who did not set up auto renewal. When the renewal came, it went to their spam, or they ignored it because they thought it was another unsolicited call for business. If they ignored it, then it could expire, which means you have to pay more for it in terms of renewal, or somebody else may grab it and they may ask for a lot of money. So be sure you set it up for auto renewal. Okay, let's talk about DNS settings. It stands for domain name server. It's basically some pointers that will either point to where your website is hosted. And this may be different than your registrar. For example, I know GoDaddy.com and a lot of the other registrars actually will host your website for you, but it doesn't necessarily have to be where you have your domain name registered. Another thing DNS settings will do is it will point to your email service provider. So whether you're using Gmail or Outlook or something else, often you can have your email directed. So if you have my name at mydomainname.com, it can actually be forwarded or redirected to your server. Also, it may be different than your registrar. You don't have to have your name service at your registrar, although I know a lot of them do provide that as well. When you set this up, you want to make sure you get a help from a pro on this, because sometimes, especially if you're making a transition, you definitely do not want to mess up your email settings, because then you may be missing email for a while, and that's never good. So especially if you're new to this or you're unsure, be sure to get a pro involved. And that's another reason why I like GoDaddy, is they provide help 24/7, and they do not charge you for that, as opposed to hiring somebody who may charge you for their time. Okay, let's talk about hosting. Hosting is where your website is physically located. It's a computer server where your files that have the display of your website are located. You may have heard them called HTML files. That's kind of the basic framework for a lot of pages. There are other ones as well, but it's basically where those files that translate into your website are located. You do need to have a host. Back in the day, they used to have, companies used to have their own servers, and for big companies, they probably do. But if you're a small to medium-sized business, it makes much more sense to pay a company to host your website for you, because they're going to keep up with the technology. They're going to basically, hopefully protect it from hacking and that kind of thing. So it pays to have somebody provide you the hosting services rather than try to do it on your own. Again, this may be different than your registrar. It doesn't have to be hosted at GoDaddy, although I know they provide hosting services as well as the other companies do as well. It is set up by the DNS record settings. So again, as we mentioned, once you set up your DNS settings to point wherever your host is, that will take care of that. Hosting is usually an annual or monthly fee. Again, I recommend annual just because generally it will be cheaper to do it by year rather than by month. And also it will ensure that that bill gets paid. So you want to make sure you set it up on auto renewal as well, so your payment goes through and you don't worry about your website going down because the bill wasn't paid. Okay, an email service provider. It is determined where emails go when they're sent to xxx@yourdomainname.com, where they go. Now, I know a lot of companies use their Gmail account, their Yahoo account, etc., as their email address. I personally don't think that looks really professional, and it causes you to be basically promoting them as opposed to your own domain name. So you might want to change that. It could be an inbox where you log into. So, for example, with Outlook, you can log into your Outlook account and access them there. Or they may be forwarded to you to an existing email. So, for example, sometimes you can forward that email to be forwarded to your Gmail account or your Outlook account. However, the issue is that when you reply back, it's probably going to brand it with the Gmail account. So again, having a email address specifically for your domain name is going to benefit you because the replies will come back from that email address as opposed to something else. So again, setting up your email using your own domain name will promote you, look more professional, and brand your own www. So if you need help on this, if you go to my website, getyournetinggear.com, you can schedule a free consultation. I will be happy to help you and give you any advice. If you go again to my website in the top right corner, there's a big schedule an appointment button. So again, this is Susan, Web Ninja, Tech Ninja at getyournetinggear.com.